This video provides a straightforward approach to composting. We'll use a compost bin that's simple, inexpensive, and effective. Find some used 2x6 boards around 4 feet long. Notch the ends as shown. For a 1/2 inch gap between the boards, cut the notches 1 1/4 inches deep. The gaps allow some air circulation within the bin. Build the bin as high as you think you'll need. For a medium-sized garden, 4 2x6 boards high should do. When it comes time to empty the bin, simply remove the boards as you remove compost. We will use 3 compost bins. A small one, bin 1, to collect kitchen scraps from freeze-up through to the following August. A large one, bin 2, to collect kitchen scraps and lawn and garden waste from mid-August to freeze-up. And a third one, bin 3, to hold the previous year's compost from mid-August to when it can be moved to the garden. The approach should become clear as we go through the yearly cycle. A convenient starting place is mid-August. At this time, bin 2 contains last year's compost. That compost may need more time to cure, so we move the compost to bin 3, where it will remain until October, when it can be added to the garden. Now that bin 2 is empty, dismantle bin 1 and move its contents to bin 2. Bin 1 will not be used again until freeze-up. As the garden plants mature, start gathering vegetable tops. Add them to bin 2, along with kitchen scraps, grass clippings, and a handful of any available soil, such as from planters no longer in use. And be sure to turn the compost often. You could throw in complete plants. They'll aid air circulation but may be slow to decompose. Instead, you could cut them into smaller pieces, mow them, or break them up by hand. The result from mowing is ideal, but be careful not to let it stick together in lumps. Always mix in a bit of soil and grass clippings to keep the material loose, and turn the compost daily. Continue to add yard and garden material and kitchen scraps to bin 2 until freeze-up. At freeze-up, put bin 1 back together and use it again for kitchen scraps until next August. Recall that the previous year's compost was moved to bin 3 in August. In October, move that compost from bin 3 to the garden. Spread it and dig it into the garden where it can continue to break down over winter and into next year. The white specks in the compost are eggshells. Besides adding calcium, they provide an indication of how well the compost is spread. If you don't like the white specks, you could grind the shells into powder and sprinkle it into the compost. Or you could buy brown eggs. The compost, though it may be coarse, is totally suitable for crops like squash and other hungry above-ground crops. At any rate, there won't be any trace of lumps in the following year. If you need finer compost, such as for potted plants, you can screen the compost using a 3/8 inch screen to get a uniform consistency. Leave bin 2 compost alone and don't add anything else to it. In spring, start turning it over regularly, right up to mid-August, and watch it change from sludge to compost. You can use equations 1 and 2 to determine the notch depth for different board sizes. For example, for 2x4 boards, set W equal to 3.5, gap equal to 1/2, and solve for X.